Imagine this moment. Late evening, an empty corporate building echoing with silence, when a single dad who works as a janitor sits at a dusty piano, not to perform, not to be seen, but to calm a blind little girl caught in a sudden storm of fear. His hands move gently over the keys, turning chaos into calm, pain into peace. What he doesn't know is that behind the glass walls, someone powerful is watching, someone whose life is about to change forever. This is not just a story about music, it's a story about humanity, unseen kindness, and how the smallest acts can reach the highest places. Hidden compassion often moves quietly through the world, unnoticed, unnamed, and uncelebrated, yet it carries a power that can reshape lives in ways no public gesture ever could. It begins in the smallest choices people make when they believe no one is watching, when there is no reward promised, no recognition waiting at the end. In moments like these, compassion becomes pure, stripped of performance and ego, driven only by an inner sense of care. A single dad pushing a cleaning cart through long hallways after midnight understands this kind of compassion well. His days are heavy with responsibility, his nights heavier with fatigue, yet his heart remains alert to the pain of others. He knows what it means to feel overwhelmed, unseen, and afraid, because life has taught him those lessons again and again. So when he notices a blind girl trembling in distress, his response does not come from logic or calculation, but from instinct, empathy rising before thought has time to interfere. He does not pause to consider whether it is his place, whether he will get in trouble, or whether his help will matter. He simply feels the urgency of another human being suffering and steps toward it. This is how hidden compassion works, not loud, not dramatic, but deeply intentional. It moves toward pain instead of away from it. The janitor understands that fear, when left alone, grows louder, sharper, more consuming, especially for a child whose world already exists in darkness. He recognizes the signs because he has lived through his own versions of fear, the kind that tightens the chest and makes breathing feel difficult. Without words, he knows that what she needs is not explanation but comfort, something steady and familiar to anchor her back to calm. The piano sits quietly in the corner, an object long ignored, much like the man himself. He has not touched the keys in years, not since life became about survival rather than dreams. Yet compassion has a way of awakening dormant parts of the soul. His fingers remember what his mind almost forgot, how music can speak when words fail, how rhythm can slow a racing heart, how melody can wrap itself around fear and soften it. As he begins to play, the notes drift gently through the space, filling the air with something warm and human. He is not performing for applause, not trying to impress, only offering what he has in the most honest way he knows. The blind girl listens, her body gradually relaxing as the sound creates a sense of safety. Each note becomes a reassurance that she is not alone, that someone sees her distress even if she cannot see him. This is the invisible exchange that compassion creates, a bridge between two souls who may never share names or stories. In this moment, the janitor is not defined by his uniform, his job title, or his bank balance. He is defined by his willingness to show up fully for another person's pain. Compassion lifts him beyond the limitations society has placed on him, reminding him that his value has never been tied to his position. Unbeknownst to him, someone else is watching, someone whose life has been shaped by boardrooms, contracts, and power. The CEO mother stands behind glass walls, accustomed to controlling outcomes, managing risks, and measuring success in numbers. Yet what she witnesses cannot be quantified or strategized. She sees a man giving something priceless, without expecting anything in return. She sees her daughter soothed not by technology, security protocols, or professional intervention, but by the simple, heartfelt act of another human being. In that instant, her understanding of value begins to shift. Compassion, when hidden, often carries the greatest impact because it arrives without manipulation, without expectation. This quiet act becomes life-changing not because it is grand, but because it touches something fundamental in everyone involved. For the blind girl, it becomes a memory of safety, a moment when fear did not win, when kindness arrived unexpectedly. Such memories shape how children understand the world. teaching them whether it is a place of danger or care. For the janitor, it reawakens a sense of purpose he thought had been lost under years of struggle. He remembers that he is more than the roles life forced upon him, that he still has something beautiful to offer. Compassion has a way of healing the giver as much as the receiver, restoring dignity quietly and deeply. For the CEO mother, the impact ripples even further. She has spent her life believing that influence comes from authority and success, yet here she witnesses influence born from humility and empathy. The moment challenges her assumptions about worth, about who deserves respect, about where true leadership comes from. Hidden compassion exposes the truth that power does not always reside at the top, and that the most meaningful moments often happen far from spotlight and stage. It confronts her with the reality that her daughter's peace was not purchased or commanded, but freely given by someone with nothing to gain. Such moments alter trajectories because they force reflection. Decisions made after witnessing genuine compassion are rarely the same. Policies soften, perspectives widen, priorities shift. The janitor will likely never know the full extent of what his act sets in motion, and that is the nature of hidden compassion. It does not require awareness of its impact to be effective. It plants seeds quietly, trusting that something good will grow. This is what makes it so powerful, the way it moves beyond immediate relief and into long-term transformation. Hidden compassion reminds us that the world is shaped less by loud declarations and more by private choices. Every day people stand at small crossroads, deciding whether to ignore suffering or engage with it. Most acts of kindness will never be recorded, shared, or rewarded, yet they form the moral fabric of society. When someone chooses compassion in anonymity, they affirm a truth that transcends circumstance, that humanity is not defined by status but by response. The janitor's music becomes a symbol of this truth, a reminder that what we carry inside matters more than how the world labels us. In crises, people often look for solutions, fixes, or explanations, but compassion understands that presence is sometimes enough. Sitting beside someone in pain, offering calm instead of answers, can change the course of a moment, and sometimes a life. The blind girl does not need to understand the man's story to feel his care. The CEO mother does not need a report to recognize integrity when she sees it. Compassion communicates directly, bypassing intellect and speaking to the heart in a language everyone understands. This is why hidden compassion is so transformative. It strips away pretenses and reveals what truly matters. It equalizes spaces where hierarchy usually dominates. In the quiet after midnight, in an empty building, a janitor and a child share a moment that transcends social boundaries. No cameras capture it, no audience applauds, yet its significance outweighs countless public achievements. The power lies in its sincerity, in the absence of expectation, in the courage to care without permission. Life-changing moments rarely announce themselves. They slip into ordinary days disguised as interruptions or inconveniences. Only later does their weight become clear. The janitor will return to his routine, pushing his cart through corridors, unaware that his compassion has rewritten parts of other people's lives. The girl will carry the memory of music as a refuge. The mother will carry the image of humility into rooms where decisions are made. All of this begins with one quiet choice to care. Hidden compassion teaches that we do not need perfect circumstances to make a difference. We only need awareness and willingness. Even those burdened by exhaustion, financial strain, or personal loss still possess the capacity to uplift others. In fact, those who have known hardship often offer the most genuine compassion because they understand pain intimately. The janitor's life has taught him resilience, and resilience has taught him empathy. Together, they guide his actions more powerfully than any rulebook ever could. When compassion operates unseen, it retains its purity. It is not diluted by applause or expectation. It remains focused on the need in front of it rather than the reward beyond it. This purity is what allows it to penetrate deeply, leaving lasting impressions. People may forget words spoken in public, but they rarely forget how someone made them feel in their most vulnerable moments. The blind girl may not remember the building, the time, or the details, but she will remember the feeling of safety that washed over her as the music played. In a world increasingly driven by visibility and validation, hidden compassion stands as a quiet rebellion. It insists that goodness does not need an audience. It reminds us that the most meaningful actions are often those done in silence. Life-changing moments are born not from grand plans, but from simple, sincere responses to human need. Each act of hidden compassion carries the potential to alter perspectives, heal wounds, and open doors that once seemed sealed. True character reveals itself most clearly in moments where applause is absent and recognition is unlikely. It emerges quietly, without announcement, shaped by choices made when the world is not paying attention. In these moments, people act not for praise or reward, but from an inner compass that guides them toward what feels right. A single dad working as a janitor understands this reality intimately. His life is structured around responsibility rather than recognition, around showing up every day for his child, even when no one notices the effort it takes. The absence of applause has never stopped him from doing what needs to be done, and that same mindset governs how he responds to others in need. Character is not formed on stages or under spotlights, but in routine, repetition, and restraint. It is built in early mornings and late nights, in choices that feel small but accumulate into a way of being. The janitor's hands are accustomed to cleaning what others leave behind, restoring order without acknowledgement. This daily practice of humility shapes his perspective. He does not expect gratitude from the floors he mops or the trash he empties, yet he takes pride in doing the work well. This pride is quiet, rooted not in how others see him, but in how he sees himself. When faced with a child in distress, his response reflects years of unseen discipline and care. The blind girl's crisis interrupts an ordinary night, but it does not interrupt his character. He does not hesitate, because helping aligns with who he already is. True character does not require deliberation in moments of moral clarity. It moves naturally, almost effortlessly toward compassion. There is no internal debate about whether he should help or whether it will benefit him. His focus remains entirely on easing the fear in front of him. This kind of response cannot be rehearsed or manufactured. It is the result of values practiced consistently, even when no one is watching. As he approaches the piano, there is no thought of performance. He is not imagining an audience or anticipating judgment. He plays because he senses that music can reach where words cannot. In doing so, he exposes a part of himself that he rarely shares, not out of shame, but because life has demanded practicality over expression. The willingness to offer something personal in a private moment speaks volumes about his character. He is not protecting an image or guarding his vulnerability. He is simply present, allowing authenticity to guide him. The lack of applause makes the act more honest. When actions are separated from recognition, they reveal true intent. Anyone can appear kind when kindness is rewarded, but genuine character persists even when there is nothing to gain. The janitor's music flows freely because it is unburdened by expectation. He does not adjust his behavior to impress or conform. He remains exactly who he is, guided by empathy rather than ego. This authenticity is felt immediately by the child, who responds not just to the sound but to the sincerity behind it. Unseen by him, the CEO mother observes the scene, accustomed to environments where every action is measured, evaluated, and often applauded. She lives in a world where recognition is currency, and visibility equates to value. What she witnesses unsettles that framework. She sees a man acting with integrity without any awareness of being observed. This challenges her understanding of character, revealing that the most trustworthy actions are often those performed in private. The janitor's lack of awareness becomes proof of his sincerity. His character is not influenced by who might be watching, making it all the more credible. True character remains consistent across contexts. It does not shift with audience size or social standing. The janitor does not become kinder because a powerful figure is present, nor does he become indifferent when no one important appears to be around. His behavior remains steady, rooted in internal values rather than external validation. This consistency is rare and deeply impactful. It builds trust instinctively, even among those who observe it silently. The CEO mother recognizes this stability, understanding that leadership and integrity share the same foundation. The moment exposes how often society confuses performance with character. Public gestures can be rehearsed, polished, and amplified, But private actions carry no such filters. They reveal who a person is when incentives are stripped away. The janitor's willingness to help without being seen highlights a truth many prefer to ignore. That character is not proven by titles or achievements, but by how one treats others in their most vulnerable states. His job does not define his worth, nor does it limit his capacity for grace. Raising a child alone has further shaped his character. Parenthood without support demands patience, sacrifice, and emotional strength. He has learned to put someone else's needs above his own, even when exhausted or overwhelmed. This practice of selflessness extends naturally beyond his home. When he sees the blind girl, he responds as a parent would, with protective calm and attentiveness. His character has been trained in the quiet classroom of responsibility, where lessons are learned through repetition rather than praise. The absence of applause ensures that the act remains pure. It prevents ego from attaching itself to kindness. There is no internal narrative of heroism, no desire to be remembered or rewarded. This humility allows the moment to remain focused on the child's needs rather than the man's image. True character often chooses invisibility over recognition because its motivation lies deeper. It seeks alignment with conscience rather than admiration. Even the music itself reflects character. It is gentle, unforced, and attentive, adjusting to the child's breathing and emotional state. He listens as much as he plays, responding intuitively rather than imposing himself. This responsiveness reveals respect, another dimension of character. He does not assume control or authority over the situation. He offers support without dominance, understanding that comfort is collaborative rather than commanding. The CEO mother's observation becomes a mirror, reflecting qualities she may have overlooked in her own ascent. She sees that authority without humility feels hollow, and success without empathy feels incomplete. The janitor's character stands in quiet contrast to environments where applause often dictates behavior. It suggests that the most influential people are not always those at the top, but those who remain grounded regardless of position. True character also carries resilience. It endures long after moments pass. The janitor will return to his routine, unchanged by the possibility of recognition. His integrity does not require reinforcement. It exists independently, sustained by personal conviction. This resilience ensures that his kindness is not a one-time event but a pattern, a way of moving through the world. The blind girl's calm is a reflection of that steadiness, a response to someone whose presence feels safe because it is genuine. In a culture increasingly focused on visibility, the absence of applause becomes a test. Those who pass it demonstrate a depth that cannot be measured publicly. The janitor's actions pass this test effortlessly. He does not seek to be seen because his sense of self is secure. This security allows him to give freely, without fear of being diminished or overlooked. Ironically, it is this very lack of concern for recognition that makes his character stand out so clearly to those who witness it. Moments like these reveal that true character is less about dramatic gestures and more about quiet alignment between values and actions. It shows up in how people respond instinctively, how they treat others when no reward is offered, and how they remain faithful to their principles in ordinary settings. The janitor's interaction with the blind girl becomes a living example of this truth, demonstrating that authenticity does not need an audience to be powerful. The impact of such character extends beyond the immediate moment. It influences perceptions, decisions, and future actions, even when the person embodying it remains unaware. The CEO mother carries the image with her, the child carries the feeling, and the janitor carries on with his life, unchanged in intention. This quiet continuity is the hallmark of true character, steady, reliable, and rooted in something deeper than recognition.